is in danger. Nefarious forces threaten the world as we know it, and it's up to a small group of heroes to come to its rescue. In Marvel D.A.G.G.E.R, between 1 and 5 players work together to challenge the forces of evil. The path to victory is a winding one that requires you to complete challenging missions, defeat hostile enemies, and vanquish the Nemesis in a final showdown that will ultimately determine the fate of the world. As you travel the globe, you'll need to use every resource available, from wits to raw muscle power. You will also need the support of legendary allies and artifacts, powerful hero abilities, and special actions. Victory demands not only a keen individual strategy, but also teamwork. Consider each move carefully. The fate of the world is in your hands. In this video, we will cover how to set up a game with 4 players and demonstrate the first round of play. We will give you enough to get started, but victory will depend on you mastering the gameplay mechanics. For this example, we're going to build a 4-player team with She-Hulk, Stephen Strange, Sam Wilson's Captain America, and Iron Man. For setup, we will focus on Dr. Strange, but once the campaign begins, you will see that there is no main character, only a team of heroes with a unified goal of conquering evil. As a cooperative adventure, every decision has ripple effects, both good and bad, for all players. Gameplay begins with each player choosing their hero sheet and standee. Next, find the team-up card that goes with your hero and place it next to your hero sheet with the gray side face up. The abilities on this card are accessed using the team-up track, but we'll get to that in a bit. Support cards give your hero access to unique abilities that can change the course of gameplay. These can be used when they are face up and are recharged by resting. Again, we'll get to that in a bit. You get 3 of them, 2 that can be used with either hero on the hero sheet and 1 unique to the hero you've chosen. Find the 3 cards that go with your hero and place the 1 shared card you want to start with face up and the other shared card face down. Place the support card that matches your hero face down. Next, pull your hero's mission card from the deck and place it face down below your hero sheet. When you control a hero in D.A.G.G.E.R, you also choose a heroic aspect that you'd like to focus on. Aspects include aggression, protection, justice, leadership, vigilance, and determination. When learning the game, pair your hero with an aspect that would seem appropriate. For this game, we'll pair Iron Man with leadership, Dr. Strange with protection, She-Hulk with aggression, and Sam Wilson with justice. Once you are comfortable with the gameplay, feel free to use any aspect with any hero for variety and new challenges. The aspect sheets will have variations of the same 4 actions: move, fight, defy, and rest. Pay special attention to actions with a colored border, as those have boosted states. When setting up the game, be sure the correct side is face up, with the shattered side face down. Once the card is placed, pull 3 aspect tokens that match the color of your aspect sheet, 2 normal with a gray border and 1 boosted with a colored border. These are the tokens you will use to realize your actions and abilities throughout the game. Your hero is almost ready. All they need is the aspect stand that matches the color of their aspect sheet. With your hero and aspect ready, it's time to prepare the play area. Unfold the board and place it in the center of the table. Set the threat tracker and team-up tracker to 0. As you play, the threat tracker will climb, increasing peril and the likelihood of failure. The team-up tracker will also climb, giving your heroes access to powerful team-up abilities. Next, place the Bifrost token in its slot next to Asgard. It's time now to choose the Nemesis you want to challenge. There are 4 Nemeses to choose from, each offering a different level of difficulty. For first-time players, we recommend Loki, the Asgardian god of mischief. First, place the matching Nemesis standee and insert it into the gray Nemesis stand. Then find the correct Nemesis sheet. Next, find the Nemesis-specific enemy card, which has the Nemesis's portrait in the upper right corner and the Nemesis-specific enemy standees. It is now time to build the Nemesis mission deck. This is built from Nemesis mission cards, identified by the corresponding portrait in the upper left. These are ordered according to the Roman numerals in the title bar. When the deck is ready, place it in the Nemesis mission slot on the board. Before you tackle Nemesis-specific missions, you have to draw a first strike mission and place it on top of the Nemesis deck. Jotun activity is the most appropriate for Loki, and so this play session uses that card. Players are allowed to choose a preferred first strike mission or draw one from the deck at random. Nemesis missions aren't the only threat facing agents of D.A.G.G.E.R. There are also side missions that will take you on adventures around the globe. Shuffle the side mission cards into a deck and place that deck next to the board. Now, it's time to create the supply. These are the resource tokens that will be used throughout the campaign to track player and villain progress, as well as give heroes access to diverse abilities. Tokens include Progress, Damage, Combo, Suppression, Overrun token, and a Stun token. Once supply is created, gather the 5 hero dice at the top of the board. These will be used by the heroes to perform attribute tests. Players choose one hero to take the first player token. That person will then lead the first round of play before passing the token off in a clockwise direction. The first player also places the Iliad on any numbered space on the board. For first-time players, we recommend placing it on space 8. This space is now both the Iliad and the number. Now that the board and supplies are set, it's time to populate the globe with heroes and villains. Check the number on the upper right side of the Nemesis sheet and place their standee on the corresponding space on the board. One villain is hardly enough to justify assembling members of D.A.G.G.E.R, and it is now time to put Jotun activity into motion. Prepare the Jotun activity enemies by finding the 3 enemy cards and the associated enemy standees. Now, refer to the Jotun activity card for information on not only how to set up the board, but also complete the mission. Across the top of the card, you will find information about enemy placement. First, look at the Level 1 enemy block. There are 2 pips and a plus under the 1 icon. This means that if there are 2 or more players, rank 1 enemy, in the case of Jotun enemies, a D.A.G.G.E.R, should be placed on the indicated spaces. In this case, space 11. There are 4 players in this game, which means that a Level 2 enemy will get placed on space 1, but a Level 3 enemy will not be placed on the board as that requires 5 players. There is an additional icon on the Jotun activity card that will put a side mission into play. The side mission drawn from the top of the deck is Stand as One. This mission is completed by resolving combo abilities and, like Jotun activity, requires 1 progress per player to complete. Stand as One will advance threat by 1 for each round of play until it is defeated. To complete Jotun activity, the heroes must defeat the associated enemies to earn progress tokens. As described on the card, progress is awarded equal to the enemy's power value. The amount of progress needed is 1 times the number of players involved in the game, in this case, 4. The goal for Jotun activity is to complete the mission before the threat tracker reaches 7. It is now time to dispatch the heroes around the globe. Any 1 hero can start on any base, but 2 heroes cannot start on the same base. For this game, Iron Man is starting at Avengers headquarters in New York. She-Hulk is in Atlantis. Sam Wilson is starting in Wakanda, and Doctor Strange finds himself in Madripoor. With the heroes and enemies positioned around the globe, it is time to prepare the event deck. First, shuffle the 30 standard event cards and set 9 of them aside at random. The other cards will not be used in gameplay. Separate those 9 cards into 3 face-down piles of 3 cards each. Shuffle one Nemesis-specific event card face down into each pile. The Nemesis-specific event cards have a portrait of the Nemesis in the upper right. Finally, stack the 3 piles on top of each other to form the event deck. Do not shuffle these cards once they are stacked. This deck is placed in the upper right of the play area, directly next to the Nemesis. With all things ready, it is now time to begin gameplay. Marvel D.A.G.G.E.R is built around a broad selection of play mechanics and fluid, player-defined goals. While we can introduce you to the core concepts of the game, the discovery process is the true adventure. The intent of this demonstration is simply to get you started. Don't worry, the best bits and greatest battles will remain a surprise. With that in mind, let's get into gameplay. Dr. Strange has the first player token, so he goes first, using a standard aspect token to move. Protection allows the hero to move 2 spaces on a standard aspect token. And Steven approaches the D.A.G.G.E.R. Ready to do battle, his turn is now over. When using a standard aspect token on an action with a boost component, ignore the boost portion. She-Hulk also makes her move to an enemy using a boosted action token to travel from Atlantis to North America. There, she encounters the Frost Giant. Because her move was boosted, She-Hulk is also able to do 1 point of damage against the enemy, as per the boost effect of the Aggression Aspect's move action. Her turn is now over. Sam Wilson uses a standard aspect token to move, despite starting 2 spaces away from the enemy. Sam has an always active ability called Falcon Wings, which allows him to travel 1 space in addition to the movement allowed by his aspect sheet. Wilson joins Dr. Strange in the battle against the D.A.G.G.E.R, and his turn is over. Finally, Iron Man uses a standard aspect token to join She-Hulk in North America and face down the Frost Giant. Because there are still unused aspect tokens, the hero phase continues with Dr. Strange. Stephen Strange is poised to attack, spending 1 standard aspect token on Fight. The Sorcerer Supreme has an attack value of 2, which means he will roll 2 dice. The dice roll reveals 1 attack and 1 tactic. Maybe not the best roll, but things could have been worse. The tactic does nothing, but the attack deals 1 damage to the enemy. The D.A.G.G.E.R has a health value of 3, meaning that it will take 2 more blows of similar strength to bring it down. She-Hulk could attack this round, but wants to ensure that her blows are as mighty and unforgiving as the game will allow. Instead of attacking directly, she uses a standard aspect token on Wind-Up to become empowered. When a hero is in an empowered state, they have access to abilities above and beyond the normal. This empowered state carries from round to round and will remain effective until they use an ability that requires empowerment. Being empowered gives She-Hulk access to Finisher, which she will likely use on the Frost Giant. For now, though, her turn is over. Captain America makes a simpler move, using a standard aspect token to fight. He rolls a Defiance and a Wild. The Defiance will do nothing for this round of play, but the Wild can be used as a success, dealing a single damage token to the enemy. The Wild also triggers the region's Dagger effect, which Captain America resolves by priming an enemy currently in play. Sam Wilson chooses to prime Loki. Iron Man does a non-boosted attack, allowing him to roll 2 dice. He gets 1 tactic and 1 attack. This yields 1 more damage to the Frost Giant. The second round of action for the hero phase is now completed, leading us into the third and final round of action before the first Nemesis phase. With our heroes divided across the board, They're clearly hoping to quell the current wave of Jotun activity before the Nemesis phase puts the enemies on the offensive. Doctor Strange kicks off the third cycle using a boosted aspect token to attack. Because the protection sheet offers no buff for a boosted attack, this token behaves as a standard aspect token. The roll reveals 2 single attack dice, and the D.A.G.G.E.R is put to rest. With the D.A.G.G.E.R defeated, progress tokens are placed on Jotun activity equal to the enemy's power, in this case, 1. As she was planning to do, She-Hulk uses her final aspect token to perform Finisher. Finisher allows her to perform her fight action twice, with each wild yielding an additional success. The first roll yields 1 hit. But because she is focusing on the heroic aspect aggression, she gets a +1 attack buff yielding 2 damage. The second roll yields 1 tactic and 1 defiance. Again, aggression kicks in, adding 1 point of damage to her roll automatically. The Frost Giant now has 5 damage, 1 shy of the 6 needed to defeat it. Having used the combo ability, She-Hulk is no longer empowered. A single progress token is added to the side mission, Stand as 1 for having used the combo ability Stand as 1. Additionally, the team-up track is increased by 1 for having used a combo ability. With the D.A.G.G.E.R defeated, Sam Wilson has a chance to prepare for future battles. He uses his boosted aspect token to rest, rolling 2 dice. Again, the token is boosted, but because there is no buff for rest on the Justice aspect sheet, it behaves as a standard token. The roll reveals 1 tactic and 1 attack. The attack cannot be used for this action, but Justice's rest automatically adds 1 to the number of successes. This gives Sam Wilson 2 progress tokens, which he places on Bucky Barnes. Bucky requires 3 progress to become active, so Captain America's turn is now over. Defeating the Frost Giant has come down to a single action by Iron Man. Or has it? Because Tony Stark is focusing on the leadership aspect, a boosted token will allow 1 other player to perform the same aspect action without using a token. If Iron Man can defeat the Frost Giant, this mechanic won't come into play. If he can't, She-Hulk will have a chance to clean things up. Iron Man rolls 1 tactic and 1 defiance, failing the test. She-Hulk's roll also fails, but the enemy is still defeated. Because She-Hulk is focusing on aggression, she is guaranteed a +1 on any fight roll. This is just enough to take down the Frost Giant. While it is impossible to plan combinations of heroes and aspects that will yield this type of guaranteed victory, maintaining an awareness of all the sheets in play will allow heroes to collaborate and move towards unified goals swiftly, and to execute their campaigns with increased precision. With a power value of 2, defeating the Frost Giant earns the heroes 2 progress tokens for Jotun activity. All players have used all of their tokens, ending the hero phase. The Nemesis phase is when the villains go on the offensive. While Loki is currently the only enemy standing on the board, you will see how swiftly the tides of fortune can change, and how all players must be constantly vigilant to threats. At the start of the Nemesis phase, the threat tracker advances by the prescribed amount on the Nemesis sheet. In Loki's case, 3. It also advances 1 because Stand as 1 is still in play. The threat tracker would also advance 1 space for every enemy in play and base that's overrun. The Jotun Warrior and Frost Giants were both defeated, and no base is currently overrun, so that's not a concern right now. With Jotun activity still in play, but all of the enemies defeated, it is time to resolve an event card. An event card is drawn from the top of the deck, and it is revealed to be Minor Setback. Each hero must discard all of their progress tokens, which means that Sam Wilson's attempt to get access to Bucky Barnes has been nullified. Now it is time to resolve the effects of the event. The first icon requires that players draw a side mission card. The mission drawn is the Price of Power. This mission requires players to go to Madripoor and perform successful defy actions. As indicated on the card, the mission requires 3 times the number of players to be completed, totaling 12. As long as this card is active, heroes cannot charge support cards, pushing Bucky Barnes even further towards the horizon. To remind players of the threats faced in Madripoor, a purple mission token is placed on that base. The next icon to resolve on the event card is the bomb icon, the effects of which are detailed on the Nemesis sheet. This engages Chaotic Wake, which moves Loki 2 spaces towards the nearest hero, and then deals 2 damage to each hero in that space. Sam Wilson takes 2 damage, and can take 3 more before being defeated. With a health value of 4, and having already taken 2 damage, this one blow is enough to defeat Doctor Strange. When a hero is defeated, the threat track is increased by the number of players in the game, including the defeated. There are 4 players in this game, so the threat tracker is now at 8. Stephen Strange, his standee, hero-specific mission card, and hero-specific support card are removed from play. All his tokens are removed from his aspect and hero sheets. Doctor Strange's aspect sheet is flipped to the shattered side, and the hero sheet is flipped over to reveal Jericho Drum. At the start of the next hero phase, Jericho will be placed on the board at the base of the player's choosing, and he will take up the mantle of the fallen hero. There is a silver lining. When Jericho comes into play, the team-up ability is automatically readied without having to spend the team-up track. He has come to avenge his fallen comrade, and the Eye of Agamotto is now active. It is time for Loki to attack. Loki has an attack value of 2. The only hero left in South Asia is Sam Wilson. Sam takes the 2 damage, which means he is only 1 damage away from being defeated. Having survived the attack, it is time to spawn enemies in accordance with the event card. An illusory foe spawns on space 11, and a D.A.G.G.E.R spawns on space 9. The Nemesis phase is now complete. Tokens are removed from the character and aspect sheets. The dagger token is passed clockwise, and the heroes prepare for another round of play. What you have seen is only the beginning. With 20 heroes to choose from, 6 aspects to focus on, 4 different nemeses, and dozens of events and missions, no 2 playthroughs will ever be the same. Suit up as your favorite hero. Conquer nefarious villains. Save the planet from cataclysmic attacks. And, most important, hone your strategy, because the next time agents of D.A.G.G.E.R are assembled, it may be the greatest threat the Earth has ever faced.